And exclusive tonight about President Trump's nominee to run Health and Human Services, a cabinet position, and about what it means to lower health care costs in this country right now. Senate Republicans expect to confirm the nominee, Alex Azar, by the end of this month. Mr. Azar was the top executive at Eli Lilly Pharmaceuticals and, as you might imagine, got fairly interrogated by two Senate committees about drug prices. So everybody's concerned about rising drug prices. But it turns out Mr. Azar also served on the board of directors at a company called HMS, which specializes in, quote, containing healthcare costs. Documents from Azar's year at HMS show that the company's focus was less about cutting costs and more about shifting the costs. So HMS helps states and private companies shift costs off their health plans and onto other plans, onto government health plans, other company health plans, or onto the individuals themselves. Take Medicaid. At Azar's confirmation hearing a couple of weeks ago, Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown questioned him about whether he favors cutting Medicaid costs by imposing work requirements on Medicaid recipients.
All of us want to know exactly how you could rationalize requiring individuals struggling with an illness, whether it's cancer, whether it's opioid addiction, whether it's some kind of severe mental illness, how you will rationalize requiring individuals struggling with those illnesses to work in order to remain eligible, especially when such a requirement is in direct contradiction to the objectives of Medicaid program. I mean, if you consider someone with cancer to be able-bodied, what about an individual diagnosed with depression? I would like you to do this. I'd like you to please submit your proposed definition of able-bodied adult to this committee, included in the record included in today's hearings before this committee votes on your confirmation.
Senator, I don't have a proposed definition of able-bodied. You're imputing to me a desire that I have not stated.
In a letter last July, however, HMS, quote, strongly urged letting Wisconsin do just that. Impose work requirements and other restrictions to qualify for Medicaid. Also, while this Mr. Azar was on the board, the HMS company advocating making you sign an affidavit on whether your spouse has a job and qualifies for health care from that company, and forcing you to prove your dependents really are your dependents. The HMS company estimates that its suggestions can help companies disqualify about 8% of workers' dependents. Azar, on the other hand, reported receiving stock and options valued at more than $100,000 for his year on the HMS board. Now, by any reasonable analysis, this is insidious. It needs to be recognized. It needs to be considered by the public at large. What you have here is an ongoing effort. This is just one example, an ongoing effort to basically come after Medicaid, to come after eventually Social Security, but particularly when it comes to health care costs. The idea is not a new idea, but it's one that's taken up some momentum in recent years. Is sort of take the U.S. government as a representative of we the people out of decisions about such things as should drug prices go up or should the people as a whole have some leverage in negotiating. That's what the government has been doing. This is all an effort to say, listen, you turn the pricing of things over to the big pharmaceutical companies, to the insurance companies, and the hospitals, which are increasingly owned by the insurance companies. It's an effort to say, let them sort of settle on what the price is going to be. Don't have the public at large, through their government, have any leverage. That is what this is about. You'll hear such phrases as, well, let the market decide on pharmaceuticals. Now, I want to point out one thing to you. We talked to healthcare insurance whistleblower Wendell Potter, and he said companies like HMS shift costs around and then add to those costs by charging for their services. It's total neglect of the government ability to leverage scale to negotiate lower prices. That's a lot about what this whole thing is about.